Hey everybody, Mark Agnesi here for Gibson TV. Today we're in Nashville, Tennessee, in the downtown neighborhood called The Gulch. Now, what musician would start his own record label, turn it into a record store, a novelty shop, and a live performance venue? Answer, only Jack White. The place, Third Man Records. Let's go check it out. So I'm here right now in the aptly named Blue Room. I've got Third Man co-founder, co-owner Ben Swank. Thanks for meeting with us today,
man. Thanks for being here, dude. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, good to have you.
It's a Blue Room.
This is our Blue Room. You could almost dive right into it.
How did Third Man Records get started?
Originally, we were, we'd reissue some 45s and things, and we'd have this storefront, and somebody would ring the bell, and either Ben and I would go out and sell them a couple records, and that would be it. It'd be pretty low key, but it just snowballed quickly. This was meant to be a rehearsal space. So bands could rehearse in here, and it quickly turned into a venue.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a venue where you can record.
How often do you guys do shows in here?
It varies. We've done up to 13 shows a month to, just a few shows a year. We kind of just whatever, depends on what interests us and who's coming through town and what makes sense. Everybody from Jerry Lee Lewis played in the Blue Room. I like this wall because it illustrates sort of the spectrum of, everything from, Ian Sponius, Chain and the Gang to Pearl Jam. Just the whole spectrum.
So how many people you guys put in here if there's?
We'll do about 250, 300 for a show.
And you get some lively crowds in here.
Yeah, the
too.
Shows are nuts.
So I was to say, if there's a pit going on, 250 people in here.
It gets crazy for sure.
So yeah, if a band is playing in here and you have an audience in here, you're recording the whole thing. And we're cutting
the master, so it's mixed and mastered in real time, and the fans can all watch that through this window here. That's a pretty special thing. I mean, it's the only place in the world you can do that. This is the mastering studio, we're now behind the stage. It's completely unverifiable, and I don't know why I continue to tell people this, especially on camera, but they tell us James Brown, It's a Man's World was cut on this lathe.
Pretty sweet. Don't let the truth ruin a good story on that.
But everything runs through the console, and then it just cuts the lacquer live, and fans can kind of watch it through the window, or we got these cameras on it.
Cameras are filming it.
There's monitors out there so they can see it being cut, and then all the engineers
have to wear
the Third Man lab coats. Yeah.
Nice. 2-inch tape, analog console, everything back here stays completely analog, or just?
Yeah, it's not in any sort of analog fetishistic kind of way. It's just sort of, it feels like it makes the actual process of doing a live recording a bit more romantic and tactile. You have to really prep the crowd for what they're about to see, because if they've never seen the process go down, they don't get it.
So there's no cutting there's no editing out dead space or anything. Everything is just.
Yeah, no, it's all live. And if a dude breaks his guitar on the show, or that's on the record,
So this place was meant to just be the offices for the label, and occasionally you would get the doorbell ring and sell some records. Yeah. Tell me about how that whole front
it just
of house
snowballed.
happened.
I mean, it just snowballed completely. Originally, it was just stocked with personal copies of whatever extra pieces of his records Jack had laying around at home. It just kind of turned into this thing where someone's coming to town and their niece and nephew were like, "Oh, Jack White has a place. Can you stop by and pick me up something?" And it just snowballed, and now it's just kind of turned into a Nashville tourist destination, which we're more than happy with. I mean, that shop stays busy all day every day.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The store, we only sell our own releases. We don't sell anything that we haven't released ourselves. So
all the merchandise.
Everything
on the
in here is Third Man Records. Obviously, we're known as big blues fans and things. So the Ann Arbor Blues Fest, these John Lee Hooker, his earliest Detroit recordings. One of the things I'm most proud of on the label is we We have 3 separate deals with 3 of the best labels ever. So we have a Sun Records deal where we're able to reissue any of their 45s that we want to reissue, Tamla, and Chess Records. So anything from Howlin' Wolf to Marvin Gaye to Earl Peterson to Prisonaires, Elvis Presley. You know, it's a pretty big honor for a kid from Toledo to say he's got Elvis Presley on his label. Paramount Records was an early kind of repository of American folk music. They were a phonograph company that started releasing records in order to sell the phonographs, and they decided to do that as cheaply as possible by just going door to door and just saying, "Do you play music? Yes. Can we record you?"
Yeah.
And, you know, it ended up just being the greatest collection of American folk music that ever existed. So we've released these 2 really all-encompassing sets of music and information on the history of Paramount Records. We win Grammys for each of those.
Tell me about the novelties
Yeah.
side of it, because you have some really cool machines out there and some unique things.
There's the Monkey Band.
The Monkey Band is totally rad.
The Monkey
man.
Band is you put a quarter in and it plays you a song that hasn't been released yet on Third Man that we haven't announced yet. So you put in a quarter and you hear something, you don't know who it is or what it is. It's just sort of a sneak preview of something that's coming up on the label.
Amazing.
But the kind of pride of the store is the recording booth.
Yeah, tell me about that. It looks like a phone booth, but it's like a full mini recording studio.
So they used to be around in tourist destinations. You know, they had one at the top of the Empire State Building famously, and you would go in and you put in your nickel and you just record it into the microphone and you just stuck that in the mail and people put it on their phonograph at home, and that was their postcard. So we converted it to cut into plastic discs. So it's got a cutting head on it. And yeah, it lasts about 2.5 minutes. You can go in, you can record a song, and it cuts the record and vends it out to you.
So when you're done at the end of the process, you literally have a physical
you take it home with you,
record in your hand at the end of it. It's incredible.
Yeah, it cuts the record down there, and then when it's done, it vends it through the slot here. So you just take it home with you. So this is a blank.
Oh, wow.
And then it just cuts into there. And you get about 2.5 minutes out of it.
So cool.
Yeah.
So
Neil
cool.
Young did a whole album in there that we released on the label called A Letter Home. He was like, "What's this thing?" And Jack let him in. He did a song, loved it, and then we just got a call, saying Neil wants to do a whole record in there.
Amazing. When you were a kid growing up listening to records, did you ever think that, like, all these years later, people would still be buying records?
It really started re-hitting like around 2010. Just started feeling like, oh wow, this is a thing. People want this tangible thing, and whether it was a novelty to them or whatever the reason people were buying it, it grew. You started seeing people buy the little kind of bedroom portable record players, and then a couple years later, you saw like Christmas time, the biggest seller on Amazon was a proper turntable. Yeah. It was like, wow, that's the biggest seller on Amazon this year is a turntable. It's amazing. It's just reintegrated in the culture.
For younger people who may have never owned a record before and have only ever really listened to music digitally or streaming-wise, what is it about vinyl records?
I go in my record room and I have an hour or two a night where I just sit and listen to music, and I really zero in and invest in it, and I turn everything else off in my mind, and it's a ritual for me almost, and there's that tangibility of, the ritual of putting the record on and flipping it and pouring over the liner notes and being like, oh man, this guy produced it. He also produced this record. Or if it's session guys, you can kind of connect the dots from different things and things like that. And I mean, it's definitely some nerd shit. It's peaceful for me. And there's just something about that tangibility that I get from the physical piece that I don't get from, other ways of ingesting music.
So there you have it, Third Man Records. For more on their artist roster or to check out the schedule of events, check out their website at thirdmanrecords.com. That does it for me. I'm Mark Agnesi, and we'll see you guys again at another iconic music destination next time on another episode of The Scene. Peace.